ever had an itch for Chrono Trigger, an itch for Xenogears, a little bit of Final Fantasy VI, maybe a slight mix of Suikoden, an RPG with amazing storytelling, pacing, and fun turn-based combat? Chained Echoes has it all for you. What is up guys, it's your boy AndroidPAW, and this is Chained Echoes. Chained Echoes is a 16-bit JRPG made by solo developer Matthias Linda and is available for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox, and PC. Taking inspiration from JRPGs from the 90s, this game is a love letter to all the classics the 90s kids grew up with. Fire, Chrono Trigger, Suikoden, Final Fantasy, and Xenogears. Matthias Linda took inspiration from all of the aforementioned games and Terranigma and Secret of Mana and The Legend of Dragoon as well. Matthias grew making fan games with RPG Maker with the thought of not copying games outright but instead capturing the experience of playing JRPGs. Development for the game took nearly 7 years, starting from 2016 and had a successful Kickstarter campaign in 2019, and finally got released recently in December 8, 2022, and was published by Deck 13 Interactive. Deck 13 is best known for developing Lords of the Fallen and The Surge, and even publishing Crosscode. Now we got that out of the way, let's talk about the first thing that makes Chained Echoes stand out: the combat system. It's very reminiscent of Chrono Trigger, however, there are a lot of modern changes to make the combat extra spicy. Chained Echoes is very innovative with how the combat is. Whenever you play JRPGs, combat can be repetitive, where you just mash the attack button and wait for things to die. Chained Echoes switches things up by introducing the overdrive meter. Every move you make, even if it's just attacking normally, using your damage spells or healing spells, buffing and debuffing enemies can drive the overdrive meter. You have to balance this meter because it can be life or death whenever you have a battle. Staying in the green zone makes your abilities a lot more effective, while going into the red zone means you're overheating and lowers your defenses, so you have to lower it back down to the green zone by using specific types of abilities or switching out characters similar to Final Fantasy X, or you can continue fighting in that situation but risk major consequences. What makes combat interesting in Chained Echoes is the inclusion of ultra moves. Everybody loves ultra moves. It's your ultra special supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Okay, one more try. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious move. It's your power move, and every character has one. I mean, look at this guy. The best thing about Chained Echoes is that it doesn't have that grind that's associated with JRPGs. There is some sort of grind, however, you don't have to grind for levels. You'll be grinding for materials and loot that monsters drop. This way, you won't be over-leveled in the early game by fighting mobs over and over again. I mean, some of the loots really sound funny and they have great names. Not this one. A staple of JRPGs are boss fights. In Chained Echoes, these boss fights have gimmicks. Each boss fight has a unique experience, and the best thing about it is that you need to have a firm understanding of the mechanics, balancing the overdrive meter, checking for enemy weaknesses, and just praying these fuckers don't cheese you. Sometimes you might die the first time fighting these bosses, and maybe the second time you get them, or maybe a third, or maybe a fourth, or oh my god, Jesus Christ, I'm about to pull my hair out. The best part of beating these bosses is that every time you beat them, you earn a skill point to put into your character. So basically, it just rewards you for being good at the game. Let's talk about sound design. It's amazing. One of my favorite things is that you can hear the characters run on metal. It's a simple thing, but it makes the game a lot more immersive instead of just hearing a generic step on the ground in other games. Hell, some of these games don't even use step sounds at times. We haven't even gotten to the music yet. The music is heavenly. Sometimes I just sit around listening to the track, wondering if I'll ever amount to something. I mean, one of my favorite tracks from its soundtrack is Roland Fields. The guitar is just so smooth and blends well with the other instruments, and you could just sit there and listen for it for an hour, or 2 hours, or forever. Another one of my favorites is the track for Cortaira Mountains. It immediately takes you to a jungle-like situation or vibe, and it's a huge bop. It reminds me of Jade Cocoon's story of the Tamayayu, and those forest areas in The Legend of the Gaia. entire soundtrack is just beautiful and just fills you up with nostalgia.
It's beautiful.
Before we get into the juicy stuff, and I know everything already sounds so good, we still haven't talked about the robots, the mechs, the giant automatons, the gears, the whatever the fuck you call those things in front mission. The sky armors. These things are incredible. You can choose to customize their colors, give them weapons of your choice, and basically have giant robot fights if you want to. And they have the same combat system with the overdrive meter. However, they have gears that they can switch, which consumes more points to use skills. Another fun feature of the game is the quest board. This keeps you engaged, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment, so you can just try to hang around areas where unique monsters spawn, while trying to complete these mini quests and gain rewards. Let's get to the best part of the game, without spoiling too much about it, the story. Chained Echoes has you following the story of a boy named Glenn and his ragtag team of warriors, rangers, mages, bards, samurais, and many more, in an effort to stop the kingdom of Terran from destroying the world. The story has 4 acts for you to go through, and each act is around 3 to 4 hours of fun if you just want to breeze around through it without trying to explore the landscape of the game. If you're like me, who's a little bit of a completionist and likes to take in the scenery, or tries to look around every nook and cranny for secrets, the game even has subtle nods and references to a few JRPGs, which made my inner geek just go full Rambo. One act will literally take you 6 hours tops. Sometimes you won't even notice that you've been playing for a while because the game is just that good. The character dialogue is absolutely great. Sometimes there are humorous lines inserted which definitely gives these characters more depth, instead of just having a regular goody two-shoes whose dialogue options are just overly positive, or a silent stoic main character. I tell you, the story of this game had me clutching my pearls for every twist, turn, and roller coaster it took me through. We've praised the game a lot, and this time we're about to talk about some of the things that can be improved. Minor spoilers ahead for a particular boss fight since it's one where I experienced this bug at. First, the game can definitely use some sort of waypoint system that tells you where some of the exits are, just like in Final Fantasy, which you can toggle on or off if you don't want to know where the exits are. In my opinion, being able to see an exit piques a lot of curiosity, and it will get you trying to find the area where that exit or entrance is supposed to go. And lastly, is this random bug that occurred while fighting a boss. It would open the map, and sometimes the buttons don't function while playing. It must be a one-off thing due to me dying and possibly pressing the map button while the fight was loading. It was a bit frustrating, especially if you've been thinking of a way to beat the boss. Now that we've talked about all of those points, this game is a must-play. It's a wonderful game to give to a friend who's been craving a little 90s JRPG vibe. There are so many cute things that you can find in this game's world, like petting a cat, and those good boys. My personal favorites are the running platypuses. Platypussies? Platypodes? A gaggle of duck-beaver hybrids running around the city in the game. We haven't even gotten to my favorite characters yet. One of them is the female T, because her character is absolutely strong and compelling. She has great one-liners and develops as the story goes on. Another one is the first knight/warrior unit you come across with. He is so tied to his ideology that he is willing to beg, borrow, and steal his way to power just so he can get what he wants, and even does things you wouldn't think someone would regularly do. There's so much to do, like completing side quests that may or may not affect some of these characters' backstory. The game is rich in lore and has great music, awesome aesthetic choices, and I'd say is one of the best games to come out for 2022. There might be many choices for JRPGs nowadays, and Square Enix is coming up with Octopath Traveler 2 soon, but right now, this title by Matthias Linda just proves that there isn't a project too gargantuan to go after, especially if there's a passionate community ready to back you up with every step you take. Thank you so much for watching the video. To see more reviews like this, don't forget to hit that sub button and like the video to help with the algorithm thingamabob. I'll be making more video game reviews, and I'd love to see you guys give out suggestions in the comments for things I should check out. And this might have been a bit short, but I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.